Hello everyone. In the last class we discussed about adjective and its types, and we were studying about parts of speech. So in the parts of speech we have covered noun, pronoun, adjective, and in the middle, in the last class basically we discussed about some types of adjectives. If you remember and if you recall, so we discussed about possessive adjectives, we discussed about demonstrative adjectives, and the last one was the adjective of quantity. Okay, so adjective of quantity are those words, basically those words that show the quantity, basically that refers quantity. For example, if you ask question how much, at that time we can say, if you get the answer how much. For example, some water, if I say some water, a little water, so these words are denoting the quantity of a noun. Okay, how much, some, how much, a little water. So these were the classification of the adjectives, and now we will move on to the next divisions, or we can say next type of adjective. So in this class we will take up the journey of adjective ahead. So in adjective, now we will study about adjective of number. Adjective of number. So further we have two classification of adjective of number. Number one is called definite category, and number two we have indefinite category. Okay, so further we have three classifications of definite category in adjective of number, and I hope you understand adjective of number. So those words which will refer or denote number of noun. For example, if I say I have two cars, so two is a word and it's referring number two in cars, right? So telling about the number which is in two. So we can say those words will be counted under adjective of numbers, and this classification can be of two types. Number one, we have definite, another hand we have indefinite. So definite means something which is fixed. For if I say two cars, means it is fixed, we have two, it is a completely fixed and definite. So further we have indefinite classification of adjective of numbers. We can write cardinal adjective, we can say ordinal adjective, and we can say multiplicative adjective. Multiplicative adjective. Cardinal adjective means 1, 2, 3, and ordinal adjective we say first, second, third, in this way, and multiplicative adjective we say single, double. So these are the examples of for the classification of definite and adjective of numbers: cardinal adjective, ordinal adjective, and multiplicative adjective. Another hand we have indefinite numeral adjective, which we can also say indefinite adjective of numeral or indefinite numeral adjective. Okay, so indefinite numeral adjective that show some numbers which will not be definite, which will not be fixed. For example, some students, and in the same case in the previous classification adjective of quantity we discussed the same word some. So basically some is a word and some is an adjective which can take plural countable noun, at the same time it can take uncountable noun which will act as a singular in number. So indefinite in indefinite category we have some students. Students are plural countable noun. Okay, and here it is showing us, right. So indefinite numeral adjective, some students, here some will indicate the number of students, which is not fixed. Some students can be 4, 3, 5 in number, in various number basically. So some students, few. Okay, so in this way we are taking now 2 examples, and because we all are covering our things, sorry, I'm getting calls today, I don't know. But okay, we were discussing about indefinite adjectives, indefinite enumeral adjectives. So we said that some words will say indefinite numbers of a noun or pronoun. So in that case we can say those words will be called indefinite numeral adjectives. Okay, some, few, etc. And what we are covering, as I said, that we are covering on our oriented exam oriented syllabus, we can say. So we are covering in that way. We do not need to go in a further, in much greater detail. So indefinite pronoun, some and few. So these are the 2 classifications. Definite have 3 further classification: cardinal, ordinal, and multiplicative. And then we have indefinite adjective. Another hand, coming to another type, we have adjective of number. What are the possibilities? Adjective of number. Then we have distributive adjective. Distributive adjective. So in distributive adjective, we talk about any noun, basically those words which will qualify a noun individually. What I say? Individually. So very important. And the main role, the main word which will, you can say, the hinting word of this type of distributive adjective is individually. Okay. So in this type of adjective, we talk about any noun individually, one at one time. For example, we say each, we say every. Okay, we say either, we say neither. So these are distributive adjectives, and these means, each of the words mean one person, one noun at one time. Each person means one time, one person. Okay, and that's the reason after each, after every, after either, after neither, we use singular countable noun. We use singular countable noun. For example, how? If I say each students were given the award, or let's say reward, any. Okay, so basically we are making any sentence. Each student was or were given the reward. Okay, so here each and after each, what we supposed to take? Student or students. So as I told you, singular countable nouns, it means you will take student. In the same way, after covering this portion, each student, what will you opt? Was or were? This is singular verb, and this is plural verb. So we want singular verb. Okay, because you know what, we have another section in the question paper in the examination in which we are tested on the error part. Basically, you will be given some sentences and there would be some underlined incorrect words. You need to just correct them, and those correction will be done on the basis of 8 parts of speech. Okay, but further, for example, after adjective we have verb. So I will not cover verb in this section, in this class. Okay, because why? We are covering this 8 parts of speech in basic detail. I'm just touching the surface things, but we have to study something, for example, preposition, verb and tenses. So these are things that are needed to cover in greater details, which I'll do in later classes, in coming classes. So distributive adjective talks about individuality. So we talk about one person at one time individually. That's we have some examples: each, every, either, neither. It takes singular countable noun, and after that it takes singular verb. I gave you one example: each student or students. So each student will be correct. For example, you find this type of sentences: every citizen or every citizen. So we say every citizen, not citizens. So each student was or were was given the reward. So we have covered distributive adjective. Okay. Further we have one more: emphasizing adjective. Emphasizing adjective. Emphasizing adjective. Emphasizing adjective means we have two words. Number one we say very, and number two we say on. Now this is also an adverb that we will talk about when I will come back to the adverb, and this is semi adjective, you can say. Why I'm saying semi adjective? For example, I locked the door. I locked the door with my own hand. If I write this sentence, I locked the door with my own hand. So here you see, hand, it's a noun, and on is a semi adjective. It requires another adjective. So this is what we say possessive adjective. We have covered possessive adjective in the last class. So my own hand, we have to say it. My own car, his own building. In this way we have to use this. It cannot be used independently alone. It requires another possessive adjectives, right? So emphasis adjective means very unknown. And if 2 or 3 years still left, so we will cover whenever the question will come. It's I'm not recalling. So basically the main thing, or the main classification or main types of adjective, this is what we have. And in the previous class we also covered some other types of adjective: possessive, demonstrative, right, adjective of quality, or we can also say qualitative adjective. So take a screenshot, and further we will move on some other concept of adjective part. So now the question is that we have covered types, basically how many types of adjectives we have covered this one, and we knew now the concept of adjective. It qualifies a noun, a pronoun, or a noun phrase. But how do we really identify an adjective? How can we identify an adjective? Okay, so this topic will cover this question, that how can we really identify an adjective. So we can say formation of adjectives. Formation of adjectives. So what we can do, we can use some suffixes. Okay, suffixes are word, or a unit of word, basically you can say, that are added to another word and that changes the meaning or grammatical profile of a word, right? For example, if I say al, so if we use this suffix al, or if we add this al to any word, let's say education, so we are making it adjective, educational, right? History, so we can make historical. Okay, we have another word, historic. So do consider that what is the difference between historical and historic. This is also important to know. I'll tell you in the next class. Educational, historical, etc. We can make other words as well. Further, if I say another suffix, we have aus, and for example, if we say adventurous, right, adventurous. If we say auspicious, adventurous, auspicious, we can make dangerous, from danger to dangerous. Further, we can say ic is another suffix that can be added to the word to make adjectives. For example, if you say poetic, if we say heroic, let's say ish, we add this adjective to we add this suffix to the word to make adjective. For example, if we say red will become reddish, okay, child will become childish. Here is another question for you. We have childish, and another word also which is considered adjective is childlike. Childlike. So we are making one more suffix, like. So what is the difference between childish and childlike? You need to find it at home. Childish and childlike. So reddish, childish. Make your own examples. Like, so we can add like to the words to make adjective. For example, one I made childlike, you can say lifelike, right? So educational, adventurous, poetic, reddish, lifelike, and other possible suffixes are, for example, if we say there are other possibilities also. For example, we make affectionate. Okay, we make affectionate from affection. So these will basically help us in identifying the adjectives in the questions which come. I mean, the question which will come in the examination. Immediately we can, if we see that educational, oh, we have suffix al, so it will be an adjective. We have historical, so we will say that, oh, al is there as suffix is added to the word, and it will be an adjective. So these are the some, not all, these are the some basic tips and tricks that we can say to identify adjectives. There are also other suffixes. Okay, there are also other suffixes possible. I am mentioning few of them. So now our adjectives part has finished. Now we will move on to the next parts of speech. Our next parts of speech is verb. If you recall, number one we had noun, second we had pronoun, then we covered adjective, now we have verb. So you need to make a star for verb. Why? Because we have tenses and verbs in the coming classes that we will cover in greater details, okay, in more details, which we will cover when I'll come back to this topic. For just a time being, what is verb? Verb is a word. Verb is a word, okay, a word which denotes action, possession, state, etc. Right? For example, we have primary verb. We have primary verb, which we also say primary auxiliary verb. Okay, auxiliary verb, primary verb. So we say form of be, form of do, form of have. Right? For example, be has several forms. If I say is, am, are, these all are verbs, and this is the present form. Past form we have was, we have were. On the other hand, we have been, we can say being. Form of do we have, we say did, okay, we have does, and also we have of have, right? I write down here have. So we can say have or has in the present form, have and has in the present form, we had, and again we had. Here is one interesting thing and very and supremely important, I would say, is that had 2 times I have written. Why? Because